In this first video for Common Fractions Grade 9, we're going to have a look at mixed calculations. If you feel that you need some revision, you are welcome to go and have a look at the set of videos for Grade 8 Common Fractions. There's a link to these videos in the description at the bottom. Before we go and have a look at mixed calculations, it is important to remember that when adding and subtracting common fractions, you start off by determining the common denominator, then you form equivalent fractions, and then you add the numerators. When multiplying fractions, you multiply the numerators and you multiply the denominators. And when you have a division sign, you will change it to multiplication and then multiply with the reciprocal. Then you also need to remember your order of calculations. Always first start doing the brackets, then you multiply and divide, and then you add and subtract. When doing squares, cubes, square roots or cube roots, it is helpful to remember that you can calculate the numerator and denominator separately. Let's go and have a look at some mixed examples. Example 1. Simplify. Here we have addition, multiplication, as well as a bracket, so I'm going to start off determining the bracket. In this step where I do the bracket, I will, however, also start rewriting the mixed numbers as improper fractions. The first of these will then be 4 over 3, and the next one will be 9 over 5. For the bracket, I have to square what's on the inside, and a minus times a minus is a plus. Then I square my numerator to get 4 and square the denominator. Now I'm left with addition and multiplication, which means the 4 over 3 stays exactly like that because I first need to multiply. When multiplying, it is now your choice whether you first multiply your numerators and denominators or first simplify. I'm going to divide the numerator as well as denominator by 9, and next I will then multiply my numerator to get plus 4 and multiply the denominator to get 5. Next, when I want to add, I need to get a common denominator, and for 3 and 5 that will be 15. If I now get the equivalent fractions for each of these fractions with a denominator of 15, the first fraction will be 20/15, and the second fraction I multiply by 3 to get 12/15. When I finally add up the values in the numerator, I will have 32 over 15, which I can also choose to rewrite as a mixed number, and that will be 2 and 2 over 15. Example 2. Calculate the following. Here we have a cube root, division, as well as a bracket. So in the step where I simplify the bracket, I'm also going to start by determining the cube root. The cube root of any negative value will still be negative, and now I can individually get the cube root of 27 and the cube root of 8. Inside the bracket, I firstly need to determine the square root, which means I can individually get the square root of the numerator and the denominator. To this, I then need to add 1, which I'm going to rewrite as 1 over 1. Now, I still need to simplify further inside the bracket, and to do that, I want to add, which means I need to get a common denominator. This will be 4. The first fraction was already on 4, and for my second fraction I will now have 4 over 4. Still, the minus 3 over 2 stays exactly like that, while I do my final simplification inside the bracket to get 9 over 4. Now I need to rewrite the division as multiplication, and when I do that, I multiply with the reciprocal or swapped around fraction. Once again, it is now my choice whether I first multiply or first simplify, and I'm going to simplify by dividing the numerator and denominator by 3, and again simplifying by dividing by 2. Now I can multiply. In the numerator I will have minus 1 times 2, which is minus 2, and in the denominator I will have 3. Example 3. Calculate the following. Even though this question might look complicated, you will soon realize that you have all the knowledge to solve this. To start off, the big division sign here actually indicates that the numerator as well as denominator should be in brackets. Because I first need to simplify the numerator and denominator separately before I can divide them. So here I'll start off by writing the numerator in a bracket and then dividing that by the denominator also in a bracket. In the first bracket, I can simplify by getting a common denominator of 6, and in the numerator I will then have 3 plus 2. In the second bracket, I'm firstly going to rewrite the mixed number as 16 over 3, and then write 3 as 3 over 1 to have everything in fraction form. Now the first fraction can be simplified to 5 over 6, and so the bracket is not needed anymore. For the second bracket, I'm going to once again get a common denominator, and then I will have 16 plus 9. So here I have the first fraction of 5 over 6. That should be divided by 25 over 3. In the next step, I will rewrite the division as multiplication and then multiply by the reciprocal or swapped around fraction. Next, I can simplify by dividing the numerator as well as denominator by 5 and also dividing the numerator and denominator by 3. So finally I have in my numerator 1 times 1 and in the denominator 2 times 5. If these 3 examples were done too quickly for you, I'm reminding you that you can go and have a look at the grade 8 set of videos on common fractions by following the link in the description.